Alright, hopefully I'm on. Okay, it's already started. No? Okay, hold on. I gotta hit the other button. There we go. Okay, hopefully I'm on the right chapter. This is chapter 12. Sound right to you guys? It was way ahead of schedule. Okay, authentication and account management. Now, Thursday we're actually going to talk about the project as well. But we're going to talk about this stuff. I usually don't talk about that. Credentials. Okay? Type of authentication credentials. Where you are, military base. So if you're on Tinker, does that mean you have special authentication? What do you think? You need some sort of ID. Y'all know the Real ID Act, the issue that's happening with their IDs? Now, I have a military ID, so I'm good. Is there anybody here with only a driver's license? Probably most of you. So if starting in January, if I wanted to bring you on base, you couldn't go. You can't go anywhere because your driver's licenses suck.
Is that because we're in Oklahoma?
We actually applied. See, years ago, the government contacted Oklahoma and said, hey, you need to comply with the Real ID Act, and here's some money to do it. Oklahoma said, no, we're not going to do it. Now we asked for a waiver, and they basically denied it. So now it's not going to work, so you got to redo our driver's licenses. Or we're all going to need passports soon anyway. But so the point is, you need some sort of authentication.
You can pay $36 to get a passport card.
Yes, you can get a passport card. I also have global entry. I paid $100. I had to go to Dallas, and I had to show my passport and proof I am. But now I get TSA pre, and I can bypass customs and all that stuff. Kind of cool. I did that just recently, and I flew to Boston last month. Awesome. Got to bypass everybody. I didn't have to take my shoes off or nothing. So very nice. But different type of credentials. Military base, key fob to my car. I got a key fob right here. It opens my car. I drove my father-in-law's truck the other day. I actually had to put a key in it. It was like, how quaint is this? You guys still have keys in your car? Bob's the way to go. Okay. Facial characteristics. I mean, facial recognition. Does anyone use Google Photos? Don't? Okay. Google Photos is free, by the way. Unlimited or photo storage. For free. As long as you're okay with up to 16 megapixels, which is better than our phones do anyway. But it goes in there and it determines who you are. I mean, it'll say, so is this Ken? It's kind of creepy the way that stuff works.
Well, it's just information mining. So
that's what it is. Okay. I was talking to a bunch of 4th and 5th graders the other day about Snapchat and Instagram and all of them. And so how much y'all pay for Snapchat? I'm assuming some of you use Snapchat in here. What do y'all pay for it?
$3.98.
What do you pay for Facebook? All these apps are free. But if they're free, then how is Mark Zuckerberg worth $65 billion? Because they're selling your information. I mean, they don't realize that's what's happening, okay? Or a combination of your locker, or to do something to prove who you are. Lots of different ways to authenticate. Here's a fob, here's a face, here's a lock. And they're saying by 2020 there'll be no more passwords. So before long they'll be gone. All right, what is a password? So it says when you log in, you need to enter a username and password. Easy enough stuff there. Passwords are most common. We still use them quite frequently. Not for everything, but for most things. So on my phone, I use my fingerprint. So am I using a password?
Yeah.
Kind of am, but it's really a biometric lock, but it's also linked to a code I put in. Because if I restart my phone, I have to put in the code. That's why the whole San Bernardino phone was an issue. Reboot a phone, you got to actually put in a code. Passwords provide only weak protection. I was in Vegas. What was I in Vegas? In May. And a lady giving the industry keynote at the conference I was at was talking about passwords. So is it a good idea or a bad idea to change your password frequently? What do you think? So military requires us to change every 90 days. What do you think?
Frequently, you're going to forget what it is.
It's good and it's bad. What she's finding is if you change your password infrequently, you're probably going to come up with a better one and use it for a while. If you change it too frequently, you're going to get tired of it. You're going to stick a 1 at the end, then a 2 at the end, then a 3 at the end. So if they make you change it too frequently, you get tired of doing it. I mean, think about it. There's probably stuff in your life that you're like, you know, I'm tired of doing this, and you do it not quite as good as you always could. Okay? All right. So, weaknesses are linked to human memory. We can only memorize so much stuff. I use something called LastPass. Anyone use LastPass in here? If you don't use it, you need to use it. LastPass is amazing. Our Associate Dean of Academic Affairs, Jeff Caldwell, Roy showed him LastPass. He's like, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. You have to remember a phrase to get into it, but then it remembers all your passwords for you. And it can generate it makes them, all my passwords are really 30 characters, and they're all random numbers. So 30 characters are random numbers, letters, special characters, and everything. So long ones, obviously are hard to memorize, so we need some sort of tool to memorize them with. Okay? It says users must remember passwords for many different accounts. That's an issue. So what's the way to fix that? We could always put the same password in every account. But is that good? No, because it's not, because if someone gets that one password, you're kind of screwed there. And, you know, I don't know about you guys, but I probably have multiple hundreds of accounts right now. She's young. Those of you who've been around a while, you probably have tons and tons of accounts. Okay? All right, so security policies mandate passwords must expire, but when? When are you going to make them expire? So what do you think a good time period of passwords to expire would be? Like 30 days? Oh, way too short. How about 90 days? Still too short. How about 120 days? What do you think? I could live with 120. About 160 or 180. I think that's actually getting better. I don't know if I want to go too much more than 6 months, but changing it too frequently it sucks, okay? All right, users often take shortcuts. Yeah, that's the biggie. You take shortcuts. You're tired of it. You know, for my account on the NSA system where I manage grants, a couple years ago I had to set up a new password. It's changed many times since then, but it had to be 12 to 14 characters, 12 to 14. So a very short span there. 2 uppercase, 2 lowercase, 2 numbers, and 2 special characters. How can you possibly remember that? You can't. So you're going to have to write it down or do something with it. Okay. Or common words. The president of Syria, his password was broken recently. It was 12345. I mean, that's terrible. Okay. Could be short. Could be personal information. Maybe your dog's name, your cat's name, your whatever. I actually called a place in Norman today called Jennings Garage, car repair place on 24th Street in Norman. Well, stepkids live next door with their dad. One of them does. And they keep stealing their Wi-Fi. And one of them's not supposed to be on the internet because she won't do her homework. She's a senior in high school, and the only thing that's important to her is chatting with her friends. That is literally, she quit eating and was so tied up chatting with her friends, she actually passed out and had to go to the hospital in an ambulance. So she has to chat with her friends. So I called them today. I says, hey, your Wi-Fi's unsecured. No, we got a password. I says, yeah, they guessed it. Password was password. I mean, so it's stupid. So, you know, how many people use the password of password? So it's pretty bad. Raising the same password for multiple accounts. If you break in one, you can get into all the others. But it's hard to remember all the different ones. That's why you need something like LastPass or something like that. Here's some weak ones. You know, I always make fun of I love you. And I always give an example with young kids. Because I was speaking at Soldier Creek the other day with a whole bunch of young kids. So I got 2 of their names. It was Michaela and Luke. That's what those 2 kids sitting in the front row. I said, well, Luke over here has got a girlfriend. His girlfriend is Michaela. And obviously the kids start, that's so funny. But I says, think about it. So Luke has got a new girlfriend right here. And he's going to prove his love to her by changing his passwords to I love you. Kids do that. I love you so much. Look, my password, I changed it to I love you. I mean, you know kids do that. People do that. Adults do that. And it's a bad idea. It's just bad. Okay? All right, attacks. It says social engineering. Kevin Mitnick Y'all know who Kevin Mennick is. He wrote a book called Ghost in the Wires. You need to read it. It's amazing. Excellent, excellent book. We actually had him out here speaking at Rose State. Cost us $23,000 to have him come speak for 2 hours. But it was good. Very, very, very good. It was packed. Had over 200-something people show up, and it was like standing room only. But social engineering is a big deal. Phishing, people giving their password over the email, over whatever. Soldier surfing, dumpster diving. People write passwords down and all kinds of stuff. Okay? Keyloggers. I used to take care of a company's network called Chapel Supply. They sell pressure washers and cleaning equipment. They don't sell church stuff. But I installed, I forget the name of the software, but it basically recorded everything. Keystrokes, the screen every 15 seconds, and everything. I recorded all that. The management, the owner bought it and had me install it. So was that illegal? What do you think? They bought it, gave it to me to install it on all their employee machines. Employee machines. So we installed it, and employees were made aware of it. So, but you know, I did research a few years ago into spyware and stuff like that. Pretty much, I think when I did it last, it was like 94% of all spyware out on the market has the ability to be a keylogger. Doesn't mean it is a keylogger. It means it has the capability of doing that. What a keylogger is, it copies what you type on the keyboard. And you can replay it back later. Okay. Protocol analyzers, Wireshark. Y'all seen those before. I'm starting to do a whole bunch more of that in my classes. So if you get into my classes, be ready for it. Getting very, very complex. Man in the middle and replay attacks. There's just all kinds of stuff that can be done to capture passwords nowadays. Or reset them. Did you ever get the email saying, I see you're trying to reset your password and you didn't reset your password? It happens to me quite frequently. I'll get something, you know, if you didn't ask for this, don't worry about it. Because what happens is you try to reset the password and it sends you an email. Someone's trying to get into your account and they didn't know what the password is. So it happens to me every so often. So offline cracking, it says method used by most password attacks today. What was that dating site? You want to cheat on your wife. What's that called? Remember that site? Come on now. They got broken into just recently. We're going to find it. Hold on. Can't remember what the name was. Hold on. You guys aren't up on the news? Cheating. There, Ashley Madison. Ashley Madison. Yeah, Ashley Madison's the website. Basically, they got into the Ashley Madison database and had the ability to break all the passwords. Okay? If you have the password file, you're done. I mean, yeah, it might take a long time to break it, but you're done because it's going to break sooner or later. We're going to learn about different ways here in a minute. Okay? So it says, they steal a file of password digest. See, passwords in the past were stored in plain text, which means my password was fuzzy puppy, it was stored as fuzzy puppy. Okay? Nowadays, it's actually hashed. What hashed is going through a mathematical calculation, and the results of that calculation is what's stored. The calculation is called a one-way hash, so you can only calculate it one way. It won't work backwards. And you'll learn more about that in another class. But as long, if you know the algorithm, which the most we use MD5, which we know the algorithm, you can very easily take, the letter A, hash that, does it match? No. Take the letter B, hash that, does it match? Compare. You can go through the entire alphabet or dictionary or whatever that way. Okay. Now online, you also have brute force. Try every possible combination. It doesn't work for most websites. If you type it wrong 3 or 4 times, it locks you out. But here at Rose State, if I type my password wrong 3 times, in 5 minutes it locks me out. Okay? So how can I get around that? If I'm a bad guy, how can I get around that? Any ideas?
Type it twice and then wait 5 minutes.
There you go. Type it twice and wait 5 minutes. Yeah, it's going to be slow, but it's going to get there. and no one's going to be notified. Okay? So, but it will work. All right. Automated brute force programs. It says the length, characters, language. You're going to, when you get into the forensics class, we do so many different password breaking programs. And some are pretty crazy, the amount of stuff you can do with them. John the Ripper, PRTK, you guys are going to use OffCrack, we use Kane, we use pretty much everything. Okay, you can also do a dictionary tag. That's the quickest and easiest version. That way you take a dictionary, download it. Let's see if we can't find a dictionary. Say I want to be a bad guy here. Let's search for, I want a, English dictionary text file. I bet there's one on here. There should be a link on here. Well, this is not. Stack Overflow kinds of drives me crazy. Word lists. There we go. Words.txt. There you go. Look at that. There's a dictionary file. So I could download this and then use that. What I would do with a dictionary tag, I'd take that list, try the first word, try the second word, try the third word, because most people use dictionary words. Why do they do that? Because it's easier to remember. It's just the way it works. Okay. All right, so here we go. We take our dictionary, we hash it. Now again, let me explain hashing one more time. It's a mathematical calculation, normally using MD5 hash, but not always. You hash it, and then you basically take that result and store and check it against the stored password. If they match, they obviously match. Okay. So if I took the word cat, performed an MD5 calculation on it, got the result, then if the user had used the word cat and performed the same calculation and stored that, you agree the passwords would match, the hashes would match. That's what we're checking. Okay. It could be slow, but it can be done. All right. Pre-image attack. It says a dictionary attack that uses a set of dictionary words and compares it with stolen digest, kind of what we talked about. Birthday attack. Search which two digests are the same. And there's actually a little bit more on that. But do you know, what do you think the odds are that someone has your same birthday?
Pretty high.
It's actually pretty high.
Yes.
I got 21 people going on our cruise, and 2 of us have the same exact birthday already. I think they say basically the odds are within a group of 65 people, 2 of you will have the same birthday. I had a motorcycle wreck years ago with a lady with the exact same birthday as me. So it's kind of crazy. But all right. Hybrid attack combines dictionary attack with brute force. Maybe we're gonna check the dictionary, but then we're gonna add a 1, 2, 3 at the end, or use it backwards, or do something to it, or change an E to a 3, an A to an at, something like that. Okay. Rainbow tables. This is what your assignment's based on. Okay. It says creates a large pre-generated data set of candidate digests. Okay. Let me explain what they are. How many of you, I know nowadays it doesn't do it anymore, anyone remember going through school and had to memorize the times tables? I had to memorize timetables. I think only 2 of us did. They don't do that anymore, do they?
I had to do it.
You
They don't do
did?
it anymore.
They don't anymore?
That's
don't.
retarded.
You don't.
No, they don't.
You don't.
Because my stepdaughter came home with a math homework. She was in 5th grade. And it goes, and she goes, my teacher said I could use a calculator. I said, no, you ain't. She said I could. Next day she brings home a note from the teacher. Bethany's allowed to use a calculator. I says, no, not in my house.
It's
Good.
I know, and some people say, well, we need to teach them. They're going to be using calculators, so we
They're
have to
not
teach
that
them how to use a
hard.
calculator.
it's like,
It's not hard. 2 plus 2, done. I mean, it's not difficult. But, okay, so imagine if I was going to, some of us know our times tables. Do you know your division tables? Through 200. No, we don't know that. Or let's do it even a little better. Exponents. So say we know exponents up to 20. That'd be an awful large number. So could you calculate that? You could. You could go 2 to the first power, 2 to the second power, and so on and so forth. Then 3 to the first power. But what if you already knew the answer? What a rainbow table is, somebody had already calculated all those exponents. It's kind of like in your math book, the odd numbers are in the back of the book. So you just flip to the back, the answer is 6. So what happened was someone had already solved the problem for you and stored the answer. Rainbow tables, someone had already done the calculation for you. They stored the result of the calculation. So why is that important? Well, I told you with the dictionary, they take a word, run it through the calculation, and then compare the results with what's stored. Okay? Well, the rainbow table is already calculated. You don't have to go through the MD5 hash, so it's very fast, much, much faster. Imagine you just knowing all the numbers in your head. You don't have to use a calculator for anything. I had a teacher, James Dang was his name, I still remember. We called it Dang Math. The dude could do addition, subtraction, multiplication, division on the board quicker than you could do with a calculator. We used to sit there in class, and it was funny because one of us would be sitting with a calculator, and he'd be sitting there with a pen. And somebody out in the audience would, say the first numbers, write the first number down. And then say the second number. He would beat us every time. It's like, how? The dude was like one of those freaky math guys. He was crazy. He taught me calculus and everything. He was a really awesome guy. But with a rainbow table, the hashes are already calculated. So you no longer have to do the mathematical calculation. You just know the answer. Then you just compare us. You compare them. So if you had the entire dictionary already, it was already hashed or calculated, then all you do is a bunch of comparisons. Does it match? No. Does it match? No. Does it match? No. You don't have to take word, run through mathematical calculation, and then compare. So it's much quicker. And you'll see with OpCrack, we're going to load all the results up into memory, and it's going to go break pretty quick. I mean, not instantaneously, but when you look at the results, you'd be like, wow, it actually broke that? Imagine the word banana. Okay, B-A-N-A-N-A. Is that correct? All right. Well, what if I changed A with an @ sign and N, we made it upside down into a U? You could see how the dictionary attack would not get that. Hybrid attack would get it, but it would take a while because the A is an at and the N's a U and so on. So it could take a while. But if someone had already thought of that and done the mathematical calculation and stored it, then we just do a comparison. And one of your words is similar to that. So it's just amazing. Okay? This is chain of plain text. You encrypt the initial password, feed it in, and compare, and then you're good. Okay? So, yeah, in OpCrack, we're going to use that. Okay? It says, repeat starting the initial password until the original encryption is found. So you're basically comparing them all as what you're doing. Okay? All right, password collections. When I went to a training class down in Houston for guidance software on Encase, the guy had taken a US keyboard, every number, every number and letter and special character up to a length of 12, every combination possible, he created a rainbow table. It was a little over a terabyte in size. You think that would be a nice thing to have? It's all these passwords are already calculated, so all you got to do now is comparison. He actually gave me a copy of it, but I think I lost it. But it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. Okay, yes, sir.
Wouldn't that be useless if you used a random salt?
Yes, salt screw that up. How many places use salt? Linux does. On some variations, Windows doesn't. Most websites don't. So what he's talking about is salt is you do a calculation, but you throw a random value in the beginning of it. So even if you had already broke the word banana with an A and an N and a U, well, since you threw a 1, 2, 3 at the beginning, it's not going to match. Unless you had that already done. But yeah, it's I covered that more in another class as well. Right. But a lot of things don't use salt. Some do, some don't. It's one of those things, like Windows doesn't. Do you want to implement? You can take the time to implement. So, and a lot of places don't. Okay. It says estimated that over 100 million passwords were stolen and published online. I think a lot more than that lately. Okay. It says websites now host lists of leaked passwords. Okay. I got not an email. I got a letter in the mail the other day from my credit card. And it says your credit card number has been involved in a breach. Someone obviously stole my credit card. It said there's been no indication of fraud on my account, but we'll be sending you a new card. So in other words, someone got my credit card number. They just hadn't got around to using it yet. That's what happened. So they sent me a new one. I threw the old one away. Same kind of thing here. They leaked a bunch of passwords, and maybe they just haven't matched the password up with your account yet to get the actual matching combination. Okay. Says passwords, mask attacks can significantly reduce the amount of time. Yeah, because you already have them. So, all right. How can we get against this? And I'm going to go to a website here. Okay, I'm going to go to a website called d2l.rose.edu. I bet y'all seen that one before. All right, I want you to watch this web page that comes up. Oh, you can't see the rest of it. Basically, it got very long. So obviously length is good. You agree with that? So length is good. Complexity is good. Here, we'll do it so now you can see the rest of it. Kind of cool, huh? All right, so really, complexity, length, credential management, how are they stored? That's another biggie. Are they stored in reversible encryption? Like I said, years ago, passwords were stored unencrypted, but now there's actually an opportunity that, even in Windows today, would you like to store it in reversible encryption? It means it can be undone, because some applications require that. The algorithms are using MD5, using SHA-1, using whatever. How are you encrypting this password? Then salts, like he said. So, a lot of different ways to do it. Complexity. So, I mean, you all know what your passwords are. Are they just long? Or then we got a really bad password in here that I want to tell. They're mixed. Okay. Yeah, that's what mine are. There's a website. I want you to do this. How secure, let's spell how right, is my password.net. How secure is my password.net? You should try this. Go there and type in a password you use frequently. It's how secure is my password.net. Okay, I'm going to type in my Rose State login. That's the password I use every day here at Rose State to get in. I see a lot of red screens there. Red's not normally good. It needs to be longer. Okay? So what this site's doing is it's guessing based on the complexity and length of your password how long it would take. Okay? So I recommend picking a password until you get a green one. Okay? I mean, you don't have to, but let's see. Okay, say we're the president of Syria here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Instantly, it's a known password. It's going to be broken.
And it's okay, we can enter our password inside?
What now?
It's okay?
Oh, you can put your password. It's not storing it anywhere. It's not storing it. It's just checking the complexity and the length to determine about how, kind of like that other screen you just saw where it got longer and longer and longer. That's what it's doing. It's not storing it. It's not sending it to anybody.
Checking it. Okay.
But remember, you got to pick a password that you can use. Now, so how long? Mine was what, 69 billion years? Okay. That's my password to get into my LastPass account. That LastPass thing I told you about, that's that password. It's a phrase. Instead of thinking a word, try a phrase, which is a combination of words, maybe some punctuation, starts with a capital letter. All that's adding complexity to it. Okay? So that's just one way you can get it. He's got a green password. Use that, or he just typed a bunch of random stuff. I do this with kids a lot, and they'll be like over here. Yeah, dude, that's not your password.
But I did A-L-S.
Oh, yellow is even better. You got a green one?
Yep.
Good.
I did send this.
Okay. But decent website to check how good your password is. Okay. All right, let's move on. So complex passwords. We saw what they might look like. Most passwords considered of a root password with some sort of prefix or suffix on it. Maybe my root password is Dewey. And I'm going to add F, which is like the first letter of the website. F for Facebook, L for LinkedIn. And I could have F Dewey, L Dewey. I mean, that's one. And maybe at the end I could put the year I generated. I mean, there's all kinds of different ways you could do it. But just come up with something. And just get a decent password. Okay. I taught Gen Cyber last summer, and then I think it was the elementary camp. We had a student, a camp member, whose parent works here on campus, or I think grandma actually. So the kid went home that night and was telling grandma about this website and made everybody in the family check their password, was explaining, the little kid, elementary kid, was explaining to the parents why they needed to fix their password. That's awesome. It's awesome. So, you know, it's really good they can do that. Okay. So attack program methods is test passwords against the there's a lot of places you can check your password if it's good. And I don't know a website offhand, but whenever there's a leak, there's always a website you can go to see if your password was in the leak. And all it's doing is you put it in, it just compares it, and if it's not in there, it doesn't save it. But again, they say they don't save it. Are they saving? We don't know. Okay? All right, combine common passwords with common suffixes. Or whoever, there's all kinds of different. Change some letters out. Okay? Called leet speak. You'll have to do that in my classes. Okay? Substitute different letters. Type it backwards. What drives me crazy is like my current password I'm using I changed like a month ago. Man, I typed it wrong so many times when I first started doing it. I can do it very quickly now. But, you know, it was different. I tried to pick something that's totally different, you know, mix it up a little bit, and then I screw it up for a few days. And it was funny because right after I did it, like the second or third day, was late for something, and I had to get there, and I typed it wrong 3 times in a row. I'm like, seriously, now lock me out for 15 minutes. So I called my friend over at IT Services, Brad, dude, I really got to go to this meeting. Will you please unlock my account? Because, you know, he knows me, so it's okay. But, you know, you need to come up with a decent password. Do not use dictionary words. Duh. Do not repeat characters. Okay? Do not use birthdays, family members, anything like that. Do not use short passwords. We just saw an example of what that is. So, all right. Credential management. One important defense. Prevent attackers from capturing the digest files. So when the password is hashed, the digest is stored. You can prevent them from getting to that, because even if you have this awesome password that's going to take 1 billion years to break, if I have enough time, I can break it. Enough time, enough computers, enough processing power, bunch of GPUs going there. You know what graphical accelerators are? They can do password breaking a lot faster. Dr. Shnoy up at University of Tulsa, they developed their own custom-built password breaker. Has like 100 graphics cards in it. So it's like crazy good. That's what it's built for. It's built for breaking these things. Okay. So don't leave your computer unattended. Duh. It says screensavers should not be set to resume with the password. Okay. Well, it should be set. I'll say not. What? Yeah. First of all, I don't believe in screensavers. You know what a screensaver means? Anybody? It means you ain't working. If you got screensaver on, you're not working, so why does it need to be a stupid picture? What, are you going to sit there and watch bubbles float across your screen? I think it's stupid. But okay. It says password protect the ROM BIOS. That's the actual on the computer. Not many people do that anymore, and Most of the time you can get around it, but not all the time. Physically lock your computer case so it cannot be opened. So people can't get in and reset your BIOS. Good management policies. Says change it frequently. We already talked about that. Not always a good idea. Do not reuse old passwords. Most places won't let you reuse passwords anyway. Never write them down. Use unique ones. Send out temporary passwords. Do not allow computers to automatically sign in. Okay. A lot of stuff you can do. Okay. Now, I have a lot of websites that I access very, like my account to log in to Tinker for TRICARE for my medical. I don't get sick very often. I don't log in there very much. So what do you think happens? I'm always forgetting the darn password. So I always have to reset the darn password. So, but it's no big deal. It sends me a message and I reset it. I don't think they're going to cover it in here. But y'all heard of two-factor authentication?
Oh, yeah.
Let me show this to you. Okay, this is two-factor authentication. Even if I gave you my Gmail account, username and password, you'd still need this code. It's only good for 1 minute. Some of you probably have seen it. I got it for LastPass, Dropbox, Gmail, Google, everything else. Watch, you're going to change. And they shouldn't change. Did they all change? So yeah, they're only good for 1 minute. And it's free, by the way. It works with Amazon, works with a lot of banks now. But what it does is it makes this even better. Because now even if you get my username and password, it ain't doing you much good. Well, it's only good for a minute. So you need, okay, applications. There are a lot of programs. Like I said, LastPass is my current favorite. They got bought out about 2 years ago by LogMeIn. I'm not a fan of them. I like them and I don't like them, but the program's still decent. I just don't like the fact that they got bought out. It drives me crazy. All right, Microsoft, LN and NTLM. Yeah, NTLM is much better than LN. LN, you're limited to 7 characters. First of all, Windows always stores your password in 7-character chunks. So if I have an 8-character password, it's really a 7-character and a 1-character. So you think an 8-character is a lot better than a 7-character then? No, because I'm breaking a 7-character and then a 1-character. So what good is that? So really it's broken into chunks. And LM isn't even case sensitive. So kind of cool stuff. And you'll learn more about these in other classes as well. Key stretching says a hashing algorithm requires significantly more time than standard hashing algorithms to break. It's just not used a lot right now. I'm actually breaking a password downstairs right now. It's actually encrypted with AES. I'm doing a brute force attack on it. The problem is the algorithm, rather than breaking 10 or 50 million per second, I'm breaking 180. So if I have a dictionary of, a million words, if I'm breaking 10 million per second, I'm done in no time. But if I'm only breaking 180 words per second, it's going to take me a lifetime. So some of these algorithms make it a lot slower. Okay, salts. It says a combination, or consists of random strings that are used in hashes. So the passwords can be protected by adding this salt to them. Yeah, I learned a whole bunch about them. So I had to create a lot of passwords for projects and stuff, and coming up with stuff like this is really a pain in the butt sometimes. It says they make this whole rainbow table thing null and void. Okay? So there's a username and a password, there's an unsalted, there's a random salt, and we can put them together. So we take our password and we stick some salt with it, and then we hash it. So obviously it's different. Because if you look at the unsalted hash and salted hash, they're nothing at all alike. Because not everybody supports it right now. What time we get out of here? What time we get out? 8:20? Oh, we got that. Okay. Multi-factor. Okay. It says when a user is using more than one type of authentication, kind of like my two-factor authentication. I used to take care of a computer network down in the Oklahoma Tower on the 34th floor. And I had a smart card. I was kept it in my wallet. It was kind of handy because a lot of times I would carry stuff there. It was kind of cool. I could just walk up and hit the door with my butt and it would unlock because it was, RFID basically. So says what a user knows and what a user has. So tokens or single factor, just one type. They do get into two types in here. Well, that's time-based, but okay, tokens could be a device with a window display. Think of it like the two-factor I showed you, but a lot of times you can actually get, looks like a flash drive that's, RSA has those. It just puts the code on there and it's only good for a certain length of time. What I like about this two-factor that I have, it even works with my phones on airplane mode, which is kind of, it doesn't have to talk to the server. Okay, time-based, one-time pass sync with authentication server, and whenever, if you set up two-factor authentication, which I hope you all do, it actually has to synchronize. When you first do it, you have to scan a QR code or something to synchronize it. Okay. Then the code changes every minute or so. Okay. There's our token. So you need a username and password and a code. I had to log into PayPal today. I'd put in my username and password. Then it had to send me a text message. So yeah, that's pretty much available on all systems nowadays. So if you don't have that turned on, you need to turn it on, because it just one little bit more security. Okay. All right, two types. We have one-time passwords, event-driven. We have other passwords. So just different ways of doing it. Okay. Tokens change frequently, like I showed you. You have 1 minute. So even if I gave you my Gmail password, it's 30 characters long. You couldn't possibly type it in 1 minute. You could possibly copy it and paste it, but you have a very hard time getting in there before the code changes. Okay. So the user may not know if the password is stolen. If the token is stolen, we're kind of out of luck. But, but we're getting there. Smart cards, integrated chip. We all have credit cards now. Have those integrated in them, I hope. Okay. They're not great. Okay. So they're going to be, I don't know if we're ever going to find a solution. I don't think so, because whenever we come up with a solution, someone breaks it. Okay. Contact pad allows electronic access to the chip. It's called, I use Apple Pay. I go into it with my watch, and I just put my credit card over it, and it works. Works like a champ. And if there was an NFC reader nearby, it would be reading my credit card right now, and I wouldn't have to pay anything. So I would have to pay, but I wouldn't have to give them my credit card or anything. So it's kind of nice. Okay. Common access card like Tinker has. Again, it's got a chip in it. Okay. Barcode or chip, whatever's in it. So, okay. So the smart card governing all U.S. military bases. What sucks is I'm retired military and they won't give me a new one. I get the old chippy one, just a picture. It's not fair. Okay, cell phones are replacing tokens. There are some hotels where you can actually unlock them with your cell phone, which is cool. Again, I can pay with Apple Pay on my phone. I think it's double tap. I can do double tap, and I can use my credit card, or I can actually swipe it out with a, come on, different credit card. I want to pay with my Discover card today, or I want to do whatever. Come on. So you can put multiple things in there. So kind of cool. But cell phones are allowing more and more stuff like that to happen. I can only see more. So, okay. So it allows users to send a request via the phone to receive an authorization code. Kind of like I logged into PayPal, they send a code to my phone. Okay. Biometrics, use your physical characteristics, scan fingerprints or whatever. Could be your hand, could be your face. So they vary. I showed you my phone already, which has it on it. We could have a static scanner. It could be dynamic. Anyone's ever watched Mythbusters? You've all seen that at one point or another. If you've never seen Mythbusters, you need to watch it. They did an episode of a fingerprint scanner. And this company made it, oh, you can't break it, blah, blah, blah. So Jamie, one of the guys on the show, the point was to steal his fingerprint. What they ended up doing was somehow they had Jamie touch something that they could get a fingerprint off. And they copied it, got a picture of it, blew it up really huge, and cleaned it all up, made it all perfect, then shrunk it right back down, opened the lock right up. So my son, I used to have a Microsoft fingerprint scanner at home. And my son, it's funny, because the Microsoft one would leave fingerprints on it. So he just walked up with a white piece of paper, put on top of it, and pushed down on it. And since my fingerprint was actually on the glass, it would let him in every time. I'm like, well, that sucks. Kind of scary stuff. Okay. There's one there. Where'd it go? Okay, there's one there. A lot of laptops. I think HP has those. A bunch of them has it. Okay. Disadvantages, they can be expensive. They can also reject people. I can never get an iris scanner to work. I've tried many. I've never got one to work. Eileen, my ex-wife, if any of you know her, she has very fine fingerprint. Whenever she would go to get her driver's license, they had to scan every finger because her fingerprints are very light. And they always say, man, you make a great thief because you don't leave fingerprints. So it's tough. It doesn't work great for everybody. Okay? Cognitive ones. I actually did a project where you had to do something. Actually, there was even, there's still some out there now where it's the way you type. They make you type something. And actually, when I was in the University of Tulsa, a student was doing research on this. But believe it or not, you type certain things differently. Unless, I guess, you do this finger pecking typing. But if you're a normal typer, you type certain things faster than others, and they can actually build whatever profile is based upon that. Okay? All right. So lots of different things they can use. Picture gesture, there's just all kinds of CAPTCHA. Y'all heard of CAPTCHA? You know what CAPTCHA? That's when you go to a website and you gotta click on the triangles, or what's that a picture of, or something like that. Okay? Or identifying faces. There you go. Picturegenic, there's just lots of different things. Behavioral says authenticates by normal actions the user performs. Could be keystroke, which we talked about, or voice. Movie Sneakers, you ever seen that? Robert Redford? Y'all live in boxes or something? Go watch Sneakers. It's excellent with Robert Redford. He runs a company that looks for flaws in there. And one of the things he has to break into is they have to do a voice print. So it's kind of cool the way they get around that. But it does happen. I mean, nowadays, y'all have like Siri and stuff on your phones or whatever, Google on theirs. Did anyone use the voice translation on there? I use it for texting all the time. You guys would do that? Yes, you do. Okay. You just don't want to admit it. But it's super handy. It's getting very accurate. So we're going to see more and more stuff like
I can't
this.
spell a word for sure. That's the only time.
I'll tell you, Hudeberg, forget it. I can't spell Hudeberg. Let me see what it does when I type it. When I tell it to do Hudeberg. See, I'll send this to her. Okay, I'm typing Hudeberg.
You can actually.
Hudeberg Drive. I got Hugh, H-U-E, to the Berg, B-E-R-G. Hugh to Berg Drive. It can't do Hudeberg. It doesn't get it. But it's crazy. It's just crazy. So yeah.
So it's actually, you can actually write the voice recognition, or you can't.
Oh, sure you can.
You can?
If I have a recording in your voice, why couldn't I? What's the name of it? A lot of singers use it. Basically, a lot of singers suck at singing. So they use this, I can't think of the word name all of a sudden. What is it?
Auto-tune.
Auto-tune. There it is. Auto-tune to adjust your voice. It was actually made for an engineering application. I forget exactly what it was made for. Then they started using. So basically, they can take someone who sucks at singing and make you sound like someone good. They can change the frequency, the pitch. They can change everything. Auto-tune. Yeah, you can look at it. It's scary. Because I watched a little blurb on it, and they were showing Britney Spears. With auto-tune and without, it's like, dude. It's like the same words. And it's close, but it's like, wow. I mean, it's not like she was lip-syncing. It's her, but the voice. You know Snapchat has the voice changer applications on there? Seen those? Never seen those? Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Man, you guys are living in a rock or something here. I don't know what the deal is. Let me find
Maybe
it.
we're paranoid, okay?
You got to play with all this stuff. Okay, I'm going to pause the recording because the people online watching the recording can't see this. All right. So keystroke dynamics. How fast you type? How fast y'all type in here?
35.
35? I used to be just over 120.
What?
I used to type very fast.
Oh, I can't.
Very, very fast. I'm probably about 60 right now.
35 and
But I actually learned, okay, when you learn to type, what do you learn to type on though?
regular,
I learned on an old manual typewriter with,
your typewriter,
yeah, we actually had to sling it by hand, you know. And then we went to IBM Selectric with a ball that turned. So I was really, really fast at typing. I'm not nearly as fast anymore. That's why I have a good keyboard downstairs, the bent ones. It's funny because when I came, it was probably 2004 when I came back from the University of Tulsa. We were working on our CNS certifications. And that probably took 2 weeks, 8 hours a day, nonstop typing. My hands started killing me from carpal tunnel, from typing so much.
yeah.
Man, I called IT and said, do you guys happen to have an ergonomic keyboard? My arms are killing me. Man, they went right on and bought me one, done. Because people can get sued over that. It's, you know, hazardous workplace and all this other stuff, so it's crazy. But yeah, because the keystroke's dynamic, very, very accurate. There's a lot of websites out there that you can check out. Oh, I know where it is. Proctor University. We actually use that to do online proctoring, and you'll probably go through it one of these days. There's one option and we can use, it costs the student $10 a year. But what I can use it for is no one's watching you take a test, but I can embed this throughout a test. And when you first sign up, you type this paragraph. Then whenever I want this to happen, it pops up and says, okay, type this phrase. Then you have to type it. And if you're not within so many percentage points of yourself originally, it's not going to let you continue. You're not who you say you are. Because it's that accurate. It's just amazing, keyboard dynamics. So it's kind of cool, Okay. All right, let's move on. Yeah, so they're showing the template, and you can tell how you type based upon that. So we talked about voice recognition already. Geo Locations is the identification of the location of a person or object using technology. I was in Cozumel, Mexico. I'm assuming somebody's been out of the country before. Yes, maybe. Well, what happens when you go to Mexico? Anyone know? When you bring up Google. It checks the location of where you're at, where you're connected to, and the darn thing's in Spanish. And it's like, I don't want Spanish, I want English.
You're lucky getting Spanish.
Yeah, so basically, the whole Google converted. I'm like, oh, great. So, but, I mean, it didn't convert the whole, but all Google itself converted. So all the buttons and everything on Google were in Spanish. It's like, you suck. Okay, so can also be used, you know, we had Jeff Caldwell, our associate dean, had a student taking an online class. And he went and looked, and it was like every single quiz and test was taken from the Philippines. Students here at Rose State. So what's the odds that student's actually in the Philippines? They're not. Someone was cheating. Okay? So, all right. So some require second authentication. Like Facebook. I have my Facebook set up. Like if I was to log into Facebook right here on this computer, I can't. First of all, the password is like 30 characters long. But say I knew the password. It would still ask me for a code. And I would have to bring up the Facebook on my phone to generate a code to match it with that code. So it's kind of the same thing. Okay, single sign-on. Sign on one time, access multiple things. So I can, downstairs this morning, I signed on to my computer. I can access my email. I can access file shares. I can access other locations. Kind of nice. Single sign-on. Okay, is a single authentication credential shared across multiple networks. But I can't log into D2L that way. That's not synchronized with our student information system database. So some places allow it, some don't. Okay. It says holds promise to reduce burdens of usernames and passwords. But if you think about it, if it gets stolen, now instead of just having access to this system, you've got every other system that I'm logged into or have an account on. So kind of crazy. Okay. All right, .NET Passport. I don't even know it's out anymore. I used to have one because I'm an MCSE through Microsoft, and I had a .NET Passport, which is kind of the same thing. I don't know if it's even being used today. Now it's known as your Microsoft, so it's probably my live account, same kind of thing. So. All right, that's still more about the Microsoft account. They store a local cookie, and y'all know what cookies are? It's actually a file stored on your computer that can authenticate at least your browser or something like that. So they can be stored in there and remembered for a certain length of time. So, OpenID is a decentralized form of that. I haven't done too much with it, but it gives you the ability to do it. I mean, there's open source options for everything nowadays. So, open source for single sign-on. Okay. All right, user visits a web commerce website and signs in. Yeah, this is actually in the e-commerce class. There's actually an entire presentation I put together of all these different ways, but we're still not there yet. It keeps changing. There's always something new. Google Wallet, Apple Pay, or Amazon single click. You know, Amazon patented the single click checkout. Y'all know what I'm talking about? As long as you're logged into Amazon, you click one click, done. You purchase it, finished. I like it, and I hate it. So if you accidentally click, oh, dude,
You're just gonna have to call the bill.
exactly
Immediately.
cancel it. It's like, I really didn't mean to click that. I think it was Barnes and Noble implemented the same thing, sued, and Amazon sued them. So yeah, so kind of cool, but there's a lot of things about that. And open authentication permits users to share resources stored on one site with a second site. It's up to you, but I'm not a real big fan of stuff being shared, even though it is. Okay. Seamless data sharing among sites. Sounds awesome, but do we really want that? No, not always. Okay. Managing user accounts can be done with setting password rules. Windows can do that for us. Actually, anything can do that for us nowadays. You can't manage passwords individually. It says too cumbersome to manage user by user basis, so you use Active Directory or something. You can set up your policies in there. Okay. We might actually finish. Nice. Okay. And there's some of the stuff we can set up. What's the history? You know, it keeps the last 24. The maximum age is 90 days. The minimum age is 1. Why would I set a minimum age? Anybody?
So you won't just go change your password X amount of times just to get back to the one you used.
Exactly. So I really like the password Fuzzy Puppy. It expired in 90 days. So I'm going to sit there and change it 24 times immediately after each other to get back to Fuzzy Puppy again. Well, to prevent that, we set the minimum age, so now I can only change it once a day. So at least I'll have to go 24 days before I'm back to Fuzzy Puppy again. Okay? It must be complexity rules, the length, store. There's that store using reversible encryption. Not really needed much anymore. Sometimes it is, though. Really depends on your application. And I actually ran an ISP at my house hosting all kinds of servers and websites. And I had an application that required reversible encryption. And someone stole about 400 credit cards off that website. Not because of that, but they stole it because of the SQL injection attack. Let me explain what a SQL injection attack is. This was a website where we sold stuff. I'll show you what the website looks like today. It's nothing like what it used to be. Okay. Okay, if you go here, oh hush, get out of here. Get out. Alright, if you went onto this website right here and say you want to buy a t-shirt, you wanted to buy a new t-shirt, basically you could buy it. Okay, this is Sergeant Grit Marine Specialties. I was good friends with the owner. I made his first multiple websites and took care of his network for years. He recently sold out, though. Sold out to somebody in Arkansas. So I don't know who owns it now. But, see how there's a search box up there at the top? The white box?
Yeah.
Well, the software we were using was totally different at that point. Software had a search box, but it didn't sanitize the input. What I mean by that is when you typed in a search word, it took it, and it searched for that in the database. So rather than search for t-shirt, what if I put in search 1 equals 1 or, you know, reset admin password to blank, basically with the right SQL command. 1 and 1 is true. Do you agree with that? So it'll always be true, which means then it's going to set the admin password to blank. That's exactly what they did. Because they weren't checking what the search was. So they did an attack like that, reset the admin password to blank, went in, logged in as the admin, added some more accounts, dumped the database of all the credit card numbers. So, yeah, this guy sells everything, and yeah, pretty awesome stuff. So, I don't know how we got there, but it's okay. Lockout duration. How long are they locked out for? 15 minutes or forever? Tinker is forever. If you get locked out of Tinker, you got to go to the CAC office and get it totally reset. It will never, ever unlock. So I think that's a good thing or a bad thing?
I think
It's good and bad. I think it's good for a military base.
it's
Kind of important stuff there.
you're right.
Rose State College is probably not a good thing. Okay. Count lockout threshold after 30 invalid. Wow, that's crazy. And there's also, they don't show it on here, but you can also set when people can log in. It's funny. I worked at was it Tinker? I think it was Tinker. Yeah, it was Tinker. I was stationed at Tinker when I was in the military, and I had to get on to Barksdale in Louisiana for some training, a couple week long training. I forget how long it was, but we had just implemented a new policy where they were limiting on when you could log in. Because think about it. I work 8 to 4. That's my duty hours. So when can we be able to log in? Maybe 7 to 5. Maybe a little early. Well, they implemented that. Then I went to Barksdale. I'm in class all day. I try to log in at night to do some work, and guess what? It's outside the 7 to 5, so I can't log in and do any work. It sucked. But yeah, it was like we just implemented it, and we had to go disable it on my account. So, all right, transitive trust. Oh, this is another biggie. Two-way transitive trust is automatically created between parents and child domains in a Microsoft network. Funny story about this. We got time. Yeah, I worked in a software development flight where we obviously made software. I was kind of in charge of that area, and we had a area that was writing some new software for the command post, where the generals all worked. Well, we wanted the ability to test it. So what we wanted to do was set up a one-way trust. So if you're in the Tinker network, you could log into the test network. But if you're in the test network, you couldn't log into the Tinker network. You understand what I'm saying? So in other words, we trusted Tinker, but Tinker didn't trust the other way. So one-way trust. So I went to my boss, the captain, and I'm like, hey, we want to set up a one-way trust between Tinker and this test network to solve the problem of, because what was happening to happen, people were having to log into the Tinker network, do whatever they want to do, log out. Log into the test network, do whatever they want to do, log out. They were having to switch logins all the time, and it was taking a long time. He's like, oh no, no trust whatsoever allowed on a Tinker, on a military, no trust of any kind. What does that say right there? Automatically added. Yeah, Microsoft domains automatically add them. So when he said no, I said, well, fine. I'll just join it normally then. That way I'll have a two-way trust. I didn't want it to have a two-way trust, but he wouldn't let me set up a one-way trust, so it ended up with a two-way trust. He just didn't quite understand the whole theory behind it. Okay? So what that means is if you got a parent and a child, you automatically share resources back and forth. So I mean, it didn't cause any issues, but I was trying to be smart about it, trying to say, you know, they really don't need to go backwards, we only need to go forwards, and he wouldn't allow it. So I said, okay, fine, let's do a regular one. Let them go both ways. Good. All right, so that's chapter 12. Next week, now you got an assignment on this, okay? The assignment's, actually, let me stop the recording here. Let me save this. Stop.